I wanted to make a video about this RoboCop remake, but that meant I would have to sit through it again. This film was so stupid and awkward, I kept postponing this and postponing until a year has passed. But someone has to do this, to expose this cinematic disaster. In the original RoboCop, they immediately show us why RoboCop is a good idea. They show that a dumb prototype fails to recognize images and sounds and ends up killing a person. In fact, it is so dumb, it doesn't even know when to stop shooting. It presents all the problems that modern artificial intelligence is still solving. Therefore, we intuitively understand why the competing project, which combines a human mind with a robot's body, would be a better solution. The remake tries to do the same thing. We're shown the same kind of robot at 209 killing a child. But why would it kill a child? There is absolutely nothing wrong with this robot. It knows exactly who the target is, what the weapon is, it can even read the child's emotional state. This isn't some rushed prototype shown behind closed doors in order to secure funding ahead of competition.
I had a guaranteed military sale with Ed 209. Renovation program. Spare parts for 25 years. Who cares if it worked or not?
This is a robot that's being mass manufactured for the military. It was obviously tested before being deployed, especially for such obvious, glaring problems. If knife, then don't kill. It's kinda easy once the robot actually knows a knife from a bazooka. The film fails to show us why robots without human brains are bad, so instead it tells it to us in an exciting courtroom scene. This pattern of telling instead of showing defines the entire film.
I ask, what do these machines feel if one of them killed a child?
Nothing.
And that's the problem. That's why 72% of Americans will not stand for a robot pulling the trigger.
If feelings are crucial to decision making, then why do they make RoboCop using technology which can't handle them?
His emotions are peaking. The readings are getting clouded.
It's okay. Relax. If you get too emotional, it'll change the chemistry in your brain. It'll throw the system out.
RoboCop failed before it even started, but I digress. The original RoboCop introduces the sidekick, Louis. She is a strong female character, and she is cool.
I usually drive when I'm breaking in on your partner.
The RoboCop remake also has a Louis. He is a token black guy, the guy who gets immediately shot in every movie. In fact, in the remake, Louis is already in the hospital with a gunshot wound before the film starts. This has got to be some kind of record. Another way to tell a token black guy is that he is used as a prop, with no actual personality except for being a stereotype.
At least I know you're the right color now.
The main hero, Murphy. In the original, he was a likable everyman. In the remake, he looks constipated. Like Anakin Skywalker, he is a pissed-off prick.
I hate them!
So Louis got shot in an undercover job gone wrong because of corrupt cops who tipped off the dealer.
Hey, boss. What do you got for me? Really?
I'm just about to close the deal, but someone tipped him off.
The fight itself is confusing and boring at the same time. Who is shooting whom? I can only be sure of one thing.
There was a firefight!
This is followed by an exciting scene in which they invent RoboCop.
We need to give Americans a product they can love.
figure they can rally behind.
Sir, I have dissected this bill. There are no loopholes. We can't put a machine on the streets.
Forget machine. Americans don't want it. They want...
The bad dealer who sent Lewis to the hospital gets the corrupt cops to plant a bomb on Murphy's car, because Murphy is onto them, I guess. They show us Murphy's generic son and Murphy's generic wife, because we must feel something for him before we blow him up. The original Murphy gets killed in a dramatic and violent scene, which makes it very personal for him, and sets up the revenge story with one of the film's villains. The remake Murphy gets killed in a generic car explosion number 85. The villain is not even there. In both films, Murphy has a good arm left. In the original, they amputate it anyway. This is a statement about corporate greed. Murphy is legally dead. Nobody knows otherwise. And now he's property of a corporation. He has no rights. They erase his memory and shape him into the ideal product.
He's on.
What's the story?
We were able to save the left arm.
What? I thought we agreed on total body prosthesis. Now lose the arm, okay?
Jesus, Morton.
Can you understand what I'm saying?
It doesn't matter. We're gonna blank his memory anyway.
Well, I think we should lose the arm. What do you think, Johnson?
Well, he signed the release forms when he joined the force. He's legally dead. We can do pretty much what we want to.
In the remake, Murphy is not legally dead, and they let him keep his human arm, which is a super dumb decision for a tactical assault robot. So is he company property or is he not?
It's not a man, okay? It's property of Omnicorp.
The film awkwardly tries to tug at emotional strings by creating this dream sequence where Murphy is dancing with his wife, and then he's switched on. Murphy wakes up, and the doctors have bedside manner, which is fucking terrible.
I know I'm dreaming because I can feel all of this.
Alex, amputees can often feel their missing appendages. It's called phantom limb sensation.
What do you mean,
Dr. Norton did.
amputees?
The doctors continue their terrible bedside manner by traumatizing Murphy even more by showing him what's left of his organic body. Why keep his lungs and not replace them with cyber lungs? They clearly have a technology, they replaced all the other organs. So this scene is designed to evoke sympathy from the audience. But the problem is that Murphy has always been an unlikable prick.
No, it's nothing personal. Although I don't like you as a person. Hey, why you acting so nervous, man? You fishing on us, Jerry?
Now he's just a prick who got burned and then put in a cyborg suit. The parallels between him and Anakin Skywalker are uncanny. Or should I say, Anakin Annie. A lot of tension in the original's action scenes came from the fact that RoboCop is slow and rigid and has to compensate by being clever and precise. You know, the cleverness that distinguishes a man from a machine. In the remake, he has no distinguishing physical pluses and minuses, only pluses. He is accurate, flexible, fast, and through power of mighty CGI, he can do whatever the fuck the scriptwriters come up with. He is just another weightless, flawless CGI character, which makes it really hard to care about what happens to this Spider-Man cop in the action scenes. So anyway, we ran a simulation to test RoboCop in virtual reality, comparing him to one of those pure robots. The pure robot kills everything in sight, but RoboCop tries to interact with the hostage taker before killing him.
It's worried that the kid's gonna get hurt.
Let the kid go!
Too bad.
This makes him 5 seconds slower.
Yeah, 5.6 seconds behind scenario failure.
So let me get this straight. They made RoboCop because the robot itself would shoot first and ask questions later. But when RoboCop actually asks questions first and shoots later, that's a bad thing. To add insult to injury, his creator reprograms him so that his computer takes control during confrontations to take those 5 seconds back.
Do that! Like him to do that!
This means that he will now shoot first and ask questions later, which makes him no better than a pure robot. Oops. So they try to write themselves out of this hole by making RoboCop valuable again. See, now he can fight better than the pure robots. Much, much, much better. This film's biggest shocker is just how brilliant of a programmer Gary Oldman's character is. Murphy at this point has no value except to get around the law, which forbids drones from being used in law enforcement.
So you've circumvented the law by creating a machine that thinks it's a man, but that's illegal.
No. No. It's a machine that thinks it's Alex Murphy.
No. General.
The film made it clear that robots are illegal because they can't relate to the human experience. Of course, instead of showing it, it explained it to us in a courtroom.
A machine does not know what it feels like to be human. Can't understand the value of human life. Why should it be allowed to take one?
RoboCop was tested for combat, like something they deploy against an army, but not for any civilian situations which require creativity or present moral dilemmas.
You are a danger! Save her! Save the girl! Save her!
So it is inevitable that it will do something terrible when it runs into a crisis, and like any police incident, it will be investigated. And then Gary Oldman will be put on the stand, and RoboCop's creator will go to jail. The moment he turned off Murphy's humanity, he doomed the project, his company, and himself.
Well done. Well done.
But wait, maybe his human face is supposed to distract us from his poor decision making. There are two problems with this as well. One, he always looks unfriendly, especially when later we suppress his emotions to make him into a complete zombie. And two, walking around with his face open is going to get him killed. The visor comes down when he sees danger, but danger cannot always be seen. What if there is a sniper? So he walks around with his constipated face exposed, because I guess that's what makes him folksy. Then the folksy man meets his family in his new body. It's supposed to be an emotional moment, I guess.
You know I miss you, buddy.
Me too.
In the original RoboCop, Murphy is dead to his family. He loses them, he loses his body, he loses his family home and his memories. In the remake, he only loses his body. The family is still there, uselessly being flung around as a cheap emotional prop.
You need to come home.
Clara, please stand aside.
You need to speak to your son.
But the emotion is simply not there, because it's not about what his family feels. We don't care about his family in either film. It is about what Murphy feels about his loss of everything he had. He feels sadness and anger.
Hey, have you thought it all over? Why not make me an offer?
In the remake, he just feels constipation or angst or whatever. It's hard to tell with this guy. So then RoboCop has to be revealed to the public. And his brilliant programmer, Gary Oldman, just minutes before the ceremony, decides to mess with his program in a fundamental way and dump the whole police database into his brain. The whole damn database, including his own murder. What could possibly go wrong? In the original, this moment happens naturally when he runs into one of his killers and gets a flashback.
We killed you! We killed you!
Then he goes to the police database, uses his interface thingy in his arm and finds details of his own murder. He starts to remember who he is.
It's you. Murphy. It's you.
In the remake, after getting the database dump, he sees a video of his murder, gets emotionally unstable, and so they have to shoot him up with futuristic Prozac.
Dopamine levels at 20%.
More.
Dopamine levels at 10%.
More.
He walks out with his face open into open air, because it's important that the public sees his stoned, emotionless, creepy face. That'll sure make them like RoboCop. So his new database spots this criminal in the crowd. He arrests him, and the public applauds despite his zombie face.
He looks like a zombie.
The film actually makes sense here for once, because RoboCop in both films is judged not by his friendly smile, but by his actions. That's how he earns the public's trust, by serving the public trust. But the film doesn't actually show him making much of a difference for the people of the city. I can't recall a single scene in the film where RoboCop actually saves a civilian's life. Instead of showing him being effective in this supposedly dangerous city, they show Mace Windu getting super excited about his crime-stopping statistics. I guess Samuel L. Jackson was cheaper to film than a few competent action scenes.
Just give me a little more time. I promise. You'll have your husband back.
Now that is a hollow promise. Can you imagine this exoskeleton going to a supermarket or sitting at a parent-teacher conference? Can't he even read his son a bedtime story without waking him up with the sound of his servo motors? What about his missing body? Yes, his wife is going to get something back. A robot with her husband's mind, to be exact. Nothing will ever be the same. This remake tries to drag his old life into his new existence, but him trying to have a normal family life would be a tremendous challenge, which would require a whole separate film to cover. The original film made sure that RoboCop's previous life was over, so it would remain focused on Murphy's personal journey. It succeeded in making us care about him.
She thought you were dead. She started over again.
I can feel them. But I can't remember them.
Anyway, RoboCop finds a criminal who leads him to a random drug factory, and then he just rides in and murders everyone, without giving them a chance to surrender.
Totally justifiable.
We are going to make a lot of money.
Nothing. No fear, no increase in heart rate, no traces of anger whatsoever.
Congratulations, Doctor.
Yes, let's celebrate the birth of a police officer who shoots first and asks questions later. Wasn't the whole purpose of their phony law to prevent just that from happening?
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Ah, fuck you!
Mace Windu appears again, telling us how the public reacts, instead of showing the world itself. While the TV programs in the original were integrated into the world, he is just some guy in front of a green screen.
And the Senate has finally agreed to vote on the repeal of the Dreyfus Act.
Nobody cares about your Senate, Mace Windu.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
So, then Murphy's wife is dangled in front of him to make him emotional. But it doesn't work because she is as robotic and perfunctory as he is. But he does care about his equally robotic son, because his computer told him that he is distressed. Murphy goes to his house. Does he even see where he's going?
Can you even see anything?
I see everything.
So he comes to his house and reconstructs the scene of his assassination. He gets triggered by analyzing his son's emotions. Instead of letting us feel anything, the film displays the emotions on the screen. How convenient. These words that Murphy reads on his screen set him off to find his killers. Murphy tracks down one of the bad guys who work for the drug lord, finds his factory, and then kills everyone in the dark. But his visor glows so that he would be easier to target. If you thought this would be anything even remotely as cool as Equilibrium, you would be wrong. He just moves forward in the dark and shoots stuff. Then he kills the guy who orchestrated his murder just by shooting him, and nothing of significance happens. That guy has no tricks up his sleeve, no nothing. He just shoots and then dies. How did the original Murphy boss fight go? Well, the villain was pretty clever, but Murphy had a computer interface in his arm, so it went like this.
Don't mess around! Hey! Hey! Come on, man, now don't get killed! You bastard! Sayonara, RoboCop!
The corrupt cops in Murphy's precinct turned out to be really stupid, because they left fingerprints on weapons they smuggled out of evidence. Based on this amazing investigative discovery, Murphy goes back to his precinct and confronts them with a gun of his own.
Who gives you what?
The other idiot cop confesses in 5 seconds by pointing at their precinct captain, who is suddenly in on the whole thing. She's had about 30 seconds of screen time, but suddenly she's a big bad. Murphy, being the friendly, diplomatic guy that he's always been, completely loses his shit and goes to harass his captain at gunpoint.
I trusted you, and you destroyed my family.
At this point, the skeptical dude, who's been creepily spying through Murphy's eyes all this time, shuts him down. Why didn't he shut him down after he shot the cop? So the jerk face is down and the film failed to make us care about him. So instead they show us his wife caring about him.
Omnicorp has denied me and my son access to Alex for weeks. I demand to know why.
But the two of them never had any real human connection in the film, except for sex and her giving him a beer. Nothing that makes them seem like a real human couple.
Do you mind? Excuse me?
Sorry.
Suddenly, the corporates decide to kill RoboCop because he will talk.
I mean, this thing solved its own murder. How long till it realizes you haven't been on the level with it?
If that happens, every journalist in this country is dying to speak to him. I mean, we created a hero. What happens when he opens his mouth?
I still have no idea what that means. He never showed any real distrust in his makers. By design, he doesn't know that the computer takes over his combat encounters, and the reason they drugged him was to save him, because he was built on shoddy technology which is affected by strong emotion.
What's bigger than a hero?
Dead hero.
Get me Dr. Norton.
So they decide to kill him for no reason they can articulate, which means they've read the movie script and they know the film is in its third act and something dark needs to happen. Anyway, Gary Oldman deceives them and then activates RoboCop so he can protect himself. If they didn't try to kill him, he would have just resumed his police duty, but now Murphy's pissed, and he's going to the building of the guy who created him and now tried to kill him. In the building, RoboCop fights these robots in a cartoonish CGI fight scene with no tension, because it's the end of the film and we need some fighting, damn it. And there it is again. Instead of making a good fight scene where he can't find a clear shot and has to do something clever, we are given a text prompt. They're text-planing it to us. Actually, this would make all the filmmakers' job a lot easier. We should text-plane everything.
They'll shoot the fleas off a dog's back at 500 yards, Tannen!
Are you allowed to love? Thought that was forbidden for a Jedi.
Attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is central to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love.
You've changed so much.
You haven't changed a bit. You're exactly the way I remember you in my dreams.
So then RoboCop has a firefight with more stuffies in the building and he gets almost killed by the creepy dude. Lewis reprises his token black guy role and takes another bullet. Again, this film was made in 2014, not 1974. So the bad guy has Murphy's family on the rooftop and then Murphy can't shoot him because he's got a red band. In the original, Murphy has a hidden directive which stops him from arresting an employee of OCP. The CEO of OCP fires this employee, and thus Murphy is free to shoot him.
Dick, you're fired!
Thank you.
Pretty cool, right? Not in the remake. The remake offers no explanation. RoboCop just raises his arm anyway, in spite of his programming, and shoots the guy. I guess he read the script too. Since in this film they replaced Directive 4 with an armband, why not have his wife rip it off a bad guy so Murphy can shoot him? That would make actual sense. It would make his wife actually useful for once.
Alex, put down the gun!
So when RoboCop gets a makeover and now he's changed to light color again, which is supposed to symbolize... then Mace Windu makes a speech where he tries to make an awkward political point about deploying drones and patriotism, I guess.
Bullying imperialists that our forefathers were trying to escape.
And then the film finally, mercifully ends. So, what did we just watch? The original RoboCop had villain number 1, Clarence Bodiger, who worked for villain number 2, Dick Jones of OCP. Dick Jones made Bodiger kill his competition, the guy who created RoboCop, and then he tried to kill RoboCop himself. These two villains were linked in a believable way, and their motivations were clear.
His memory's admissible as evidence. You involved me. You're gonna have to kill it.
Well, listen, Chief. Your company built the fucking thing. Now I gotta deal with it? I don't have time for this bullshit.
Suit yourself, Clarence. But Delta City begins construction in 2 months. That's 2 million workers living in trailers. That means drugs, gambling, prostitution. Virgin territory for the man who knows how to open up new markets. One man could control it all. Clarence.
Well, I guess we're gonna be friends after all. Richard.
In the remake, there is a disposable villain who is not even there when Murphy is killed. Another dude who made RoboCop and then turned villain because he wanted to kill RoboCop, and he wanted to kill RoboCop because he became a villain who wanted to kill...
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know? It's what they use to make Brondo. Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
And there is the precinct captain, villain number 3, who was never shown doing anything bad. And there is also a villain number 4, this crazy dude. I had trouble keeping track of all the supposed villains, and yet none of them were nearly as evil or memorable as either Bodiger or Jones.
Bitches leave.
The original RoboCop had several themes running through it, a commentary on corporate greed,
It's a better plan. Fucking Jones. I'd go straight to the old man if I could.
Cold War satire,
Nuke 'em. Get them before they get you.
what separates man from machine,
Can you do that, Dad?
By erasing Murphy's memory, we made him innocent, a clean slate. He starts more robot-like, but we connect with him, watching him slowly regain his humanity during the film.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy.
The new Murphy is the same before and after his transformation. By not developing his character, the film reduces itself to just a generic action flick. Instead of showing us the cutthroat struggle of a corporate greed, they tell us about it in boardroom meetings where they all salivate about how corrupt they all are. Instead of Cold War satire, we get confused messages about drones in Iraq. It is pretty amazing how everyone in RoboCop behaves like a fucking robot. There are no exceptions. The only time when we can see the actors express something human and genuine is when the cameras are not rolling. Now, I will give the final word to the stars themselves.
At the heart of it is about the discovery of what it is to be human. Because I play a human being who's ostensibly killed and then turned into a computer or a cyborg or a robot, and then through the movie begins to have recollections through a series of events and begins to discover that he was once a human being, and goes on this search, this journey, to find out who he once was. And it's a little fable, sort of like Beauty and the Beast, about the search for the soul. That's at the core of this film.
If you were in that situation and you had lungs and a spinal cord and that's it, and one hand.
Yeah, no nothing.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation. No robot.
So glad you didn't say it was a hard situation, because that would have been
yeah, that would have been bad.
Play on words. What would you do though? High five, awesome.
I don't know. It's a pretty difficult. It's quite a conundrum.
I'm Pat Novak. Good night.